You are now listening to CTR Media Network.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all, never lasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions.
This is Olivia Tucker, I should say Dr. Olivia Tucker, and she is listening to the podcast on CTR Media Network.
That's me. I'm so happy to be here. Thanks to her, my podcast is doing great.
350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are, the media network. That's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above all, never lasting. Motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself. Your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show.
The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. The Vera Tommy Show. Let's talk about it. 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 On the Vera Tommy Show. Let's talk about it.
Hello. I am so excited today. I'm always excited, right? I'm always excited about my guests. Well, today I'm excited to have Miss Liza Marie Garcia. Hello, Marie. I'm Lisa. I want to say Liza Marie. How you doing? I can't hear you. How are you doing? Okay, I can't hear you. Okay.
That would be because I forgot to press the unmute. It was too technical for me. Just kidding.
So how are you doing today?
I'm good. Let's talk about it. I sure like your branding, I'll tell you.
Oh,
I'm
thank
like, let's talk
you.
about it.
And those are my grandchildren singing that.
I love that.
Yes, two of my
Okay.
grandchildren and my son, he produced it.
Very cool.
So trying to get kids involved in what I do.
That's right. I'll have to get their Bitly links and have them make something for me. Make me a outro and intro.
Oh, that
Very
would
cool.
be great. That would
Very
be awesome. Oh, they would be happy to hear that.
It's so cute.
Well, the first thing I want to do is share with our audience who is Liza Marie Garcia. She is the founder and chief operating officer of Now Publishing. Based in Tampa, Florida, she works with hundreds of writers and authors. In the company's first 6 years, Now reached important milestones, publishing more than 50 books. You hear me? 50 books across multimedia platforms and in various genres. Those early genres included business, leadership and entrepreneurship, mental health, health and wellness, and faith based storytelling. Growing amid the COVID-19 global pandemic, Now Publishing is more than 20 has more than 20 genres,
Yep.
including business brand books, memories, children's books, fiction, cookbooks, and poetry.
Mhm.
Lisa Marie is a former tech CEO out of Seattle and a 5-time author herself. Her first book, Never Drink Coffee During a Business Meeting, was featured by Barnes and Noble in the 2016 West Coast Book Tour. She also co-authored My Calendar is Written in Crayon, The 90-Day Author, The 25 Changemakers, and in 2022, she was featured in the best-selling book Wisdom Before Me, which is an awesome book. And oh my God. For 2023, she is working on publishing the anthology called Don't Get Pickled. Okay. Well, Lisa, there is so much. Now, one more thing I do want to say. There's so much more I could say, but I think it is admirable that you have the distinction of founding one of the first professional services firms in the telecommunications industry in the United States. And you did that when you were 27 years old. That is amazing. And there is so much more I could say about Lisa, but we're going to come on back here and just start the conversation and talk about, I know our title is
What matters most?
What matters most.
Yeah. Yeah.
What matters most of all. So I want to kind of talk about that. What matters most of all? In your opinion, what matters most of all? And before you even share that, I'm going to give you the floor. And anything that I didn't say about you that you would like the audience to know, I'd like for you to share that. And then let's talk about what matters most of all.
Thank you. Well, thank you, Vera. And I'm a fan of yours for sure. So,
Thank you.
And that was wonderful what you said. It's interesting that just yesterday I was talking with someone about how no one wants to hear someone's bio that goes on. And then here I am. But I will tell you, I'm excited about being here. And I was just telling my daughter, my 16-and-a-half-year-old daughter, actually, she's going to be 17 in July. So that's more than a half, that I get to talk about my most favorite book that I wrote and my most favorite topic, which is parenting. And it is the book that is What Matters Most of All, My Calendar Written in Crayon. And in a word, what matters most of all is love, period. Right?
Yes.
Is the love, period. The love you have for your children, the love you have for God, the love you have for yourself, the love you have for your friends, the love you have for your spouse. You know, I mean, not to be cheesy, but really, and very non-technical, but you know, that is absolutely the most important.
Absolutely. Love is the key. Love is the key. And can you imagine if we showed more love towards each other? The
Yeah.
world would be a better place.
Yeah.
So, what matters most of all is love. I agree with you 100%. Like you said, love for our children, love for our friends, our family, our country, our nation. I mean, oh my God.
Yeah. And it sounds easier than it's easier said than done, right? Because it also means love for your enemies and love for people that have betrayed you, love for haters, love for cyber bullies. I mean, I don't even want to go there for families that have had loved ones murdered, how that part, but you know, it's a big deal. And you know, kind of going back to this book, that there was my second book I was a part of, so it's been a few years now, but I remember there's a chapter in here talking about love and what we have to do, and I did not write it, but it said, see if it said, if I remember, maybe the title didn't say what it was, but the topic was forgiving and praying for / loving your ex-husband. And in every divorce journey, you got to get there sometime, because again, it's not about that person. It's really about you,
Yes,
and love and
yes.
forgiveness. But not to be here, we were so, lighthearted, and now we got into the dig of it. But
It's
but I sure,
important.
yeah, the favorite job out of all that bio and everything I do is being a mom of 2 teenage daughters that are little eaglets getting ready to be pushed out of the nest and to fly.
Yes, and I want to say hi to Dr. Tina Ramsey. Hello, everyone. She says, thank you for being here. And, love, I wanted, and you mentioned forgiveness. People don't understand how important that is. And I want us to talk about forgiveness since you mentioned it, because it is so important. So important. Because if we're not able to forgive, and coming from a believer's perspective, if we're not able to forgive, how can we expect our Father to forgive us of our wrongdoings? And so, share a little bit about your experience with forgiveness.
What I've seen in my life is I have seen people that were family members, and I've seen friends that have changed, I've seen them become people that have been weighted down by the unforgiveness in their life. And they can't see it because that's where they've been operating for years and years and years. And I know, people that way right now. And then I know other people that had to work through that forgiveness, and they're free and they're so different. So I've been able to see that in others. I've definitely have. I mean, I think we all do have people that we need to forgive. And I'll tell you a test someone told me a couple of years ago, and it kind of comes back to me to kind of do a reality check out as to whether I've forgiven someone. Someone told me once, if you believe you've forgiven someone that wronged you, betrayed you, whatever it was, and if they came in the door, how would you feel? If you bumped into them in an elevator, how would you feel? If you saw them in person after so long of time and you were sure you forgave them, what happens inside of you? And that I thought was a real good test to make sure, have you really forgiven them? Have you really moved on? And then have you moved all the way past that moving on to care about them? To know that they were hurting you, not because of you, because they were hurt. To know that their anger against you wasn't their anger. I know someone right now, she comes to my mind, that is so angry. She's angry at me, but she's not. She's just an angry person. She just doesn't have good stuff going on in her household. That's the getting to the other part and understanding who they are and having empathy for them. Am I perfect? Have I forgiven everybody perfectly? Of course not. But I liked that test, there's a test there. If that person was right in front of you, sat at the same picnic bench, would you be okay? Or would there be something there? And that's just, we just strive to to work through that, learn how to do it?
Well, my experience, I had a family member that I did not speak to for a whole year because I felt hurt.
Yeah.
And my son was having a birthday party. We had just moved into this house that had a big backyard. And he was like, Mom, I'm having a birthday party and I want her there. And I was like, okay. And at the time, my church was going through a forgiveness training called The Bait of Satan. And so in going through that training, I was able to go through the process because forgiveness is a process.
It is.
It is a process.
Yep.
And so as I went through the forgiveness process, I was able to work through that and have dialogue and ask questions, why and what did I do? And I want you to know that no matter what, I forgive you, but I don't ever want to go through this again.
Right.
And and you made a point, when you have truly forgiven, when you are there for that person or how you are when they walk in the door. Well, I thank God that I went through that forgiveness process because it came a point in time when that person needed me.
Yes.
And I was there for them. So forgiveness, and I want those of you that are having a problem forgiving, I want you to think about your health.
Yeah. Right.
Think about your health. What kind of, because unforgiveness can spawn a lot of physical, mental, and emotional pains, sickness, and it's a weight.
I was just trying to remember, I'm reading a book that I recommend to everyone I'm in a book study, and it's called The Ruthless Elimination from Hurry. It's an excellent book by a pastor out of Oregon. And he called this term mental hoarding. It's that idea. We've all heard the emotional vampires, and that we only have that. Most of us know we only have a finite amount of energy every day. Period.
Yes.
It's a bucket of energy that we have that gets drained and depleted in the day. So how are you going to use it? If you have all this angst for people, it is taking up that energy. It is a mental, it is hoarding the emotions that you have, and you're wondering why you're not moving forward.
Right. Yes. And I am willing to bet you people that have all that angst inside of them, I can guarantee you money. They've got some physical problems.
There's a scientific correlation. There's studies about it. Absolutely.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
90%.
Absolutely.
I thought it was 80%. And I think I heard yesterday, honestly, 90% of people that have illnesses are stress related. And it was a doctor said 90%. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes. And it's because of the things we harbor, all that negative energy that we harbor. And if you don't get it out, it stays in. And you mentioned hurt people, and they do. And we have to recognize when hurt people try to hurt us, we need to consider the source and understand that they are being that way because they've been hurt themselves. Bullies, people who bully are usually who have been bullied themselves.
That's right.
And so we need to understand and recognize that just because things are being targeted at you, it's not about you.
No. And it's important. Then, it's all really about that insight and that wisdom to recognize it and to really see people and that as what, who they are versus what they're saying and how they're acting, having it speak to us. And the only way to do that is to be quiet, is to listen, is to observe. And then also I call it seed, like let me seed on something overnight. When something comes at me that just shocks me and maybe kind of turns me upside down because I didn't expect it from that person, or I didn't expect that action, or I didn't see it coming, which happens every day, right? Mm-hmm. The best thing I can do is, then get settled and say, okay, I'm just going to think about this, put it in perspective. And then because I'm a believer, ask for wisdom and insight. But then, so that's, really the first step. But then the second step is to recognize that just because you feel for them and you have apathy and you understand from where they come, it doesn't mean that you need to keep them being able to attack you, go after you, even be around you, to be honest.
Absolutely.
You know, and that's a huge
Absolutely.
part of it,
It
you know,
is.
especially when it's family. You know, that's
Yes.
even harder. But,
Yes.
you know,
Yes. But if
Yeah.
you are constantly being ridiculed, belittled, and being hurt
Yeah.
by people, get away from them.
Right.
You have to remove yourself,
That's right.
because otherwise you will, all that stuff that they're throwing at you becomes a part of you.
That's right.
And that is not what you need.
Right.
And anything that's making you feel uncomfortable and uneasy when you're around some people, get
Yeah.
away from them.
Well, and even on it, you know, talking about parenting. So I was telling you, I have a 16 and a 17-year-old. My 17-year-old is going to be 18 next Wednesday. Can't believe it.
Happy
Senior.
birthday.
I know she's going to, and, you know, we're trying to get her in university and get all that set. But she took a job. She works part-time at the YMCA, but she took a part-time job at AutoZone. It sounded interesting. So why not? Right. And she went through the training and I thought, okay, this is good. I mean, it's good for all women to know how to change their oil, or at least, you know, understand the basics, which I learned later in life. So I thought it was a good experience. Well, one day she happened to be at the front counter, and it was at the front counter, you know, cashier kind of job. So she's at the front counter, and I guess she was the only one there. And some guy came in and was upset that he had to wait in line so long. And when he got up to in line to her, he started just railing on her, you know, why I need this, I need that. And wanting her to help him. And she said, I can't leave because I'm the only one here. Just started railing on her. So of course, I mean, she got upset. I mean, she's not used to that. You know, they're not used to that kind of stuff, you know,
Right.
but you know, she ended up quitting. We took care of her and all of that. But the important lesson was no one has the right to talk to you that way, to treat you that way in any circumstance. No one. And
No one.
she needs, you know, and I'm so glad she learned that in her younger life. Because sometimes, you know, there's all types in this world, and there are people that will push the limits, and there are people that don't have boundaries, right? And there are people that it's all about them and they could care less if they're hurting, if they're not kind. So you just need to make sure that, you feel no matter what the situation is that, no, there are boundaries that you don't let people cross.
And you need to be clear with that. And for example, one of the things, hopefully, if she finds herself in that situation again, throw it back at them. You must be having a really bad day.
Right. I'm so sorry. But
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
You must, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I can't, there's nothing I can do. And I'm not going to sit here and allow you to
attack me or
attack me. Exactly.
verbally. And so my daughters are great students, but they work very hard. It doesn't come easy to be a great student, but it is I'm in this mode now. I've been in this mode for a couple of years, having these two teenagers in my house of, they have great academics, they have great education, but they also need to have the life education. Yes. They also need to understand that. And, items like that, they don't have a self-esteem. Speaking of this great workshop you're going to have, they don't have a self-esteem class. There's no honors on self-esteem. There's no, honors class, the AP class on that.
And there should be.
There should be. And I've been acutely aware of, I am my daughter's coach, life coach. I am their spiritual coach. I am their mentor. I'm their biggest cheerleader. And I've really been, especially since my seniors leaving this year, I've really wanted to make sure she knows I'm that person. I'm her person, which I've said many. I'm her person, that person that she can call in any way, any shape, anytime. I even tell them they have 8 get out of jail cards free is what they know. And they keep, like, one of my daughters will try to use them and say, do I still have 8? They have 8. And that means no questions, no anything, right? Call me, just, call me. I'll take care of it. But, it's important, for that as a parent, but it's really important for friends too, that we all have that kind of a support, no questions asked, conditional love, so to speak.
Right.
you know?
Unconditional, absolutely unconditional love. And when you got friends like that, I lost a dear friend last year, and her and I were like that. And there were times when, I mean, I would see, we would call each other on the carpet, but we did it out of love.
Right.
We did it out of love. And the one thing I want to make note of, your children would not feel that kind of closeness to be able to talk to you about anything had you not developed that throughout their years. You didn't wait until they were in middle school or high school to try to develop that. You started at an early age getting them to feel comfortable talking to you about anything and everything, because they knew, well, mom is going to hear me, she's going to listen to me, she's not going to judge me, she's not going to criticize me or ridicule me, which is what so often happens with parents and their children. And so for you to have teenage daughters now that feel so comfortable coming to you and understanding parents are our children's first teacher.
Yep.
We are the first teacher. So however we are imparting and engaging and working with them and dealing with them, that's what they're going to remember. That's the life that they're going to move towards and into.
Well, and you're so wise about this. I want to dig into that with you, but we know this as parents, but I think we have to always be reminded of it. It doesn't matter what we say at all. It really doesn't. It is how we move through this world that develops them. And a good lesson of that is when your teenagers learn to drive and they have a learner's permit, all of their impatience, is because that's how you are as a driver. All your, let someone come in or let me not because I'm in a hurry. That's their driving habits. But it's 100% how I move through the world. How am I kind and forgiving? Am I a little bit uptight? Am I short with people? Am I angry all the time? Or let's have a peaceful morning. I love you. That kind of thing. It really is who we are. And that and that makes us a better person. I mean, my daughters make me a much better human being because I'm cognizant of all eyes on me. And really from birth, right from the time they're little, they are always watching, they are always listening.
Yes.
And they always usually know more than you think. In fact, they usually know all of it. You were a teacher. Didn't you hear stories from kids? Teacher friends have said that the kids would come and rat out their parents, so to speak. They know what's going on.
Yes. Now, I wasn't a certified teacher. I worked in the school systems with kids, and I have substitute taught and that kind of stuff. But my background is primarily training and working with kids and adults, companies, organizations, schools, and churches. And so, but I love the educational system and arena to impart and work with and working with teachers, because so oftentimes teachers have such an impact on our children as well. And I remember being substitute teaching in this middle school, and I have a poem that I share no matter where I'm teaching. If I'm working with kids, I start my day with that poem, and I tell them, that's what I expect from you. I expect your greatness. I had no sooner did that, and a teacher stuck her head in the door, and the first thing that came out of her mouth was, you knuckleheads better behave for her. It just shot everything down that I had just done. I have just said to these kids, this is your greatness, and you're going to call them knuckleheads?
I don't get it. I don't, in business and in parenting and in life, it's setting the bar. People will aspire to where the bar is.
Yes.
Right? It seems like such a basic knowledge, set the bar, call them super scientists, NASA astronauts, they'll believe it. Call them that they're bad at math. They're not really good at math and they don't have to be. They'll not be good at math. I mean, it's such a basic fundamental, but a lot of people don't, they don't know that. And it's too bad.
And the thing is, if parents are really in tune with their kids and engaging their children even at an early age, they can see the talents, the
Yes.
gifts that they have. And how many times have we heard people in careers say, "Well, I wanted to do this ever since I was a little girl or a little boy. I had dream." As a matter of fact, I did an hour live yesterday with a she's actually a preschool owner, and she said even as a little girl she would play teacher and act like, and so if parents are in tune with their kids, they'll be able to see that and nurture it and embellish it and find resources to help build it up. That is at an early age.
At an early age. And again, I kind of go back to business. I've 24 years of, being a business owner in a couple companies. I said this the other night to someone in a group that, a lot of times our career choices early on are just happenstance, right? Maybe it was like the first job someone told them about that made really good money, or their aunt worked there, or they started part-time and then never left, and then cut to 20 years of them being miserable in the job they are, and then, quitting or come to retirement saying, like you said, I really have always loved to work with kids. Why didn't I do that? And, it's funny that you said, so I've always said, we always know who we were. Like I was a business girl in high school. I read business biographies, Lee Iacocca, even back then in Trump. I was business and I loved to travel. That was who I was at 15 and 16. And that's who I am now. So, we're always like that talent or that prompt to tell us who we are. We do know it very early on.
Very early on.
It's a matter of whether it gets fostered and whether it gets nurtured, you're right, or whether, things get in the way like money and the world.
Yes. And, I'm going to have to pause for a commercial and then I will be right back. Okay. So let me pull up. Okay.
We want to give a shout out to our CTR Media Network sponsor, Terry Coleman from GlobalKeyCapital.com. Global Key Capital is a lender specialized in customized financing solutions. They pride themselves in being one of the industry's most reliable and proven lending groups. At Global Key Capital, their customers are their number one priority, and they strive to provide all of their clients with competitive pricing, unbeatable customer service, and stress-free processing. If you are looking for your next dream home or investment property, give Terry Coleman a call at 866-325-6267. Again, that number is 866-325-6267. GlobalKeyCapital.com.
Global Key Capital, one of the sponsors of CTR Media Network. And if anyone's out there and you'd like to help sponsor my show, by all means, get in touch with me. Get in touch with me if you're interested in being a sponsor or if you want to advertise on my show. By all means, do get in touch with me. You can get in touch with me on Facebook, The Vera Thomas Show, Instagram, Instilling Greatness, or LinkedIn, Vera Thomas, Instilling Greatness on LinkedIn. So I am looking for sponsors. I'm looking for advertisers, and I'm looking for donations. So if any of you are out there and you're liking what you're hearing, I want to encourage you to please donate to help support what we're doing here and to expand what we want to do. And you can donate by going to Cash App, $Instill Great. Cash App, $Instill Great. I really need your support, and I'm asking you to please donate. It can be $1, it can be whatever. Just donate and show your support for what it is that I'm doing. Okay, back to the show.
Back to you, Vera, really. I don't want to talk about me anymore. I want to talk about you, honestly. I mean, you got so much talk about wanting to learn more wisdom and that. I want to ask you, because I got to know you a little bit a bit ago. You were telling me how you started working in the schools and what you were providing, like you were saying, the greatness poem. Kind of share that. I don't know that everyone knows that about you. A little ways back, a few years back.
Okay, a few years back, like 40 years ago.
Numbers necessary.
Growing up, because I grew up with no confidence, no self-esteem, I was bullied and ridiculed and made fun of and called things like you're stupid, you're dumb, you're fat, you're ugly, you're nothing, you'll never be anything. And hearing those things, I knew that I never, ever want any child to feel like I felt when I heard those things. But I didn't know my purpose. And because of not having confidence and self-esteem, it was like, I would always ask God, why was I born? Why was I born? What is my purpose? And I would be crying, asking him, what is my purpose? Why was I born? And I remember I had a job that required us to go to a 3-day seminar. And that 3-day seminar was Adventures in Attitudes. And I was in my early 20s at that, about 24. And I went to this seminar and something just hit me in my belly. Something just started bubbling up inside of me during the course of this 3-day workshop. And so at the end of the workshop, I went to the facilitator. She was so bubbly and so enthusiastic and so authentic. And I remember going to her and saying, I want to do what you do. And she became my mentor and actually took me through the process of learning training programs, going through speaking. One of the first things she had me do was get involved with Toastmasters. And then we went through a 2-year presentation speaking training that was 2 years. We would go back and forth to Columbus for this training to prepare us to become speakers for the National Speakers Association. And then she got me involved in packaged training programs. And the very first session that I did, I had met a lady that was the director of Metropolitan Housing, and she had a summer youth program. And so she invited me to come and do a training with these kids. That was the first one I did. And that Saturday, a week after, I'm at home and I'm still wondering, what is my purpose? What is it I'm supposed to do? And that Saturday, I got all these letters from these kids telling me how it impacted their lives. And I just started crying. It's like, Lord, now I know my purpose. I know what I'm supposed to be doing with my life. And so working with kids, that is, wanting to make a difference in people's lives is so important to me because, again, I don't want any child to ever feel like I felt when I heard those things. And I don't want any parent to impose their unresolved issues and their baggage on their kids.
How old were the kids at that first session? What would the age range?
They were elementary and middle school. I did 2 different sessions. And you know what? I'm going to go to a commercial.
Okay.
Okay, let me go to a commercial. Well, wait, we have someone. Okay, Marlo. She says she was an awesome angel for you. Yes, she was, Marlo. Thank you. Let me do a commercial right quick and we'll be right back.
Okay.
Let me find it. Okay.
We want to give a shout out to our CTR Media.
Diamonds and emeralds and pearls, oh my. Diamonds and emeralds and pearls, oh my. Sapphire Emerald Magazine truly knows the gifted and talented people.
Sapphire Emerald is a magazine that represents the diversities of the world's news. We believe in presenting people in a positive light and helping the public see them in a different perspective. We report on entertainment, nonprofit organizations, film producers, actors, actresses, culinary arts, fashions, and the positive principles of understanding art. Our mission is to bring people's spectacular talents into focus and allow them to sparkle like the precious emeralds, diamonds, pearls, and sapphires.
Yes, Diamond, Emerald, Sapphires. Yes, magazine. All right. All right.
Okay. I love how after even all these years, it still touches your heart and you still remember it. You know, it was so important. So let me do the follow-up question to that is, now do you remember times when things have come full circle, when you remember, when was it when someone said you weren't all of that negative? Do you remember the time, or how did it happen that you turned that corner to start to understand your self-worth after all of that?
There was a book that changed my life, and it was called The Magic of Believing by Claude Bristol. I read that book and it was like I was eating it, I was like feeding everything it said do, I did. And it talked about, and I would fall asleep at night saying, I'm confident, I'm confident, I'm confident. I would fall asleep at night saying that. And it talked about stepping outside of your comfort zone. And it talked about how when people get on elevators and everybody's standing, just looking at the numbers. And it talked about saying something instead of just standing there. And so this one day, I actually, the elevator door opened. It's full of people. And I stood up there and I was like, hi, how you doing? It was uncomfortable. It was uncomfortable, but I needed to step out of my comfort zone. And I needed to get that confidence that book was talking about. And one of the things that Eleanor Roosevelt said, and that was also in this book, and we're talking almost 50 years ago or so, 45 years ago, but a long time ago. But Eleanor Roosevelt, she said, no one can make you feel inferior without your permission. Yep. That resonated with me.
Yeah.
And once I understood that, and that's one of the things I try to impress upon kids.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. And, and I often will say to them, because a lot of times kids will come and talk about their parents and that kind of stuff. And I'll say to them, it doesn't matter. Just remember, it doesn't matter who's saying these things to you. Just know that no one can make you feel any kind of way without your permission. And then giving them affirmations and having them speak life. Because sometimes we have to encourage ourselves. Sometimes
it's mindset. I mean, it's right now, the big trend, it's mindset. That is what mindset is. Encouraging yourself, having the right mindset that pushes through. But that's one of my favorite quotes from her as well. I didn't know if you were going to say the other quote I love of her, and I don't remember it 100%, but it's where she says something about, I'm going to mess it up, but something about the one where she says, certain type of people talk about things.
Okay. I know I wrote a poem about that. Do you want to hear it? Yes, I did. Because what she said was, small minds discuss people, average minds discuss things, great minds discuss ideals. So I wrote this poem. Small minds, the kind sit around and gossip all the time. Who's doing what? Did it win? Not the kind I would call my friend. Average minds discussing things, houses, cars, material gain. Great minds move the earth, discussing things of value, of worth, ideologies of past and present, realizing dreams with the mind's consent. Great minds, it takes one to know. These minds help all minds grow.
I love that. And I love that I call you the poet laureate and you've got this. And you just remember them and have them memorized. I love it. Yeah, that is one of my favorite.
Yes.
And I think it's a good one. We all check ourselves, because as soon as we start down that road, like, hold it. Really?
Am I a small mind?
Really? Yeah.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
Vera, I want you to talk, more about then, because I think that from what you've just said really shows how you've put together this workshop that's coming up. I love the title, how to avoid crushing your child's self-esteem and dreams.
Yes.
Talk about that and what the content is. It's a virtual couple-hour workshop coming up, but talk about what's the content that you're going to be sharing.
Well, I'm going to be sharing the positive things that parents can do to enhance and instill greatness in their children. I am going to start by sharing a story about a day in the life of a child. And in sharing that story, we're going to see some things that may resonate with the parent, may resonate with even being a brother or a sister, a teacher, and then when we finish that story, we want to look at the impact that those things had on this child and move forward with positive things. I don't want to give all my positive stuff out, but parents are going to leave with some concrete things that they can do to instill greatness in their children. I'm also going to be providing them with links to free assessments and tools that they can use as a family to identify the best way to communicate with each other. We have a couple of people. Okay. Sandra says, great title. Thank you. She also says, love this. Well, thank you so much for being here and watching. And what has happened? We flipped the script and
because I want to interview the amazing Vera Thomas. And actually, can you put in the chat how people can sign up for your workshop?
Yes, I sure can.
And you don't know this, but there's a couple things there's one thing I want to let you know is that our company now publishing will get a scholarship to a worthy parent, male or female. You have to email me. You have to connect with me, and there's a couple ways of that. If you're a LinkedIn person, Liza Marie Garcia, connect and just tell me that you'd like to be able to attend the workshop. The details. It's February
4th.
Yep.
From noon until 2 p.m.
Noon to 2. It's a 2-hour workshop.
It's a 2-hour workshop.
And so we'll scholarship a parent into it. And then, I'd like to ask anyone that, knows if God brings someone to your heart and mind right now that maybe is a single parent, anyone, I will say this, any parent of middle schoolers, because I do have to say those were some challenging years, and not that all the years don't have challenges and wonderful times, but, I think middle school is a very tough time on a parent because it's a very tough time on your child. They're just in between, and you're just having to really kind of prep them for what is next to come, which is high school. But I wish I was a little bit more, I digged in a little bit more, and I wish I had more resources and spent more time, in that time in my parenting. So I challenge anyone that's listening to this in the broadcast or the rebroadcast before February 4th to, send the link and to tell them to search up Vera, because 2 hours on what day of the week is that? On the 4th?
That's on a Saturday.
So yeah, 2 hours of your Saturday to just get some parenting wisdom.
Yes. And you know what? Yes. And also not only middle school, but parents of young children.
Yes.
I want I want them to come as well, because they are molding and shaping their kids. And at those ages, kids are very pliable. Even pregnant mothers. I have some stuff for you too.
Yeah. Isn't that? Yeah, for sure. I remember when I was when my daughters were toddlers and all of that, I was in that. I call it, what did I call it? I think you should call it the 5-year boot camp or something. Because no. I used to say you've got 1 year of the boot camp where you think that they're sleeping through the night and you get excited. No. Your 12 months isn't up, right? And then they don't sleep. It's such a roller coaster that first year. But those first 5 years, you're keeping your head above water. When did I get a shower? You've got these very, very needy human being, little ones, and you have zero experience. You didn't go to college and learn how to take care of these little beings, right? So it's a fun and challenging time. But I remember, saying to fellow moms during that time, I wish I'd gotten a degree in elementary education, I would say, or I wish I had, gone to school for this. And so it's like trying to read books, trying to, be the best parent. But here you got something with your workshop, 2 hours with, an expert of so many years you have been in this space of the most important thing, what we can give our children, their understanding of their self-worth, their understanding that they're here for a purpose. And
Yes.
the best gift we can give them beyond anything else is understanding their purpose and that they are purposeful.
And the thing is, my marriage was a domestic violence kind of experience. And when my ex-husband attacked me in front of my son when my son was 3 months old, I knew then that I could not raise a child in that kind of environment. So I left my marriage when my son was 6 months old, and I raised him as a single mom from the time he was 6 months. But all that confidence and all that self-esteem and all that stuff that I had acquired after reading that book, 3 years into that marriage, I lost all of that. Because when you're in a volatile, toxic environment, it doesn't matter how much confidence you have. It doesn't matter how much self-esteem you have. When you're surrounded by that on an ongoing 24/7, you lose it. So I lost everything, all the stuff that I have worked so hard to acquire. I lost it all. And so when I left him, I also recognized that I not only had to recreate and become the best version of myself, but I had a child. Right. And I had to instill greatness in him. Right. And I can honestly say he's one of the most positive. He's 39 now, and he's one of the most positive people you will ever meet. I kid you not. And the things that I did, I never called him out of his name. I never, he made, now I'm not saying that I didn't say that was a stupid thing you did, but I would qualify it and say, listen, be clear. I am not calling you stupid.
Right.
I am saying what you did was not very smart.
Right. Right.
And so being able to let kids know how you feel about things without calling them out of their name. Right. There is not, when I had him, I promised myself that I would never, ever call him out of his name, because I know how it feels when you're called out of your name.
Right. Right. Wow. So I didn't know that about you. So, and I don't personally know of domestic violence, but I definitely have had friends and read about it. We actually did a book that we had some domestic violence survivors, read some of their stories. And unless you're in it, I mean, I know enough to know that I would would not understand what you had to experience when you were in it. Not right. Even, but see how you climbed the mountain out of it. You climbed out of it to not just benefit yourself, but look at the son you raised, the fruit, from you. So,
and it saddens me when I hear women that are in volatile or toxic, because it can be toxic and not necessarily volatile.
Right.
But when people are in toxic environments and they say things like, well, I'm staying because of my kids. No, hear clearly, your kids, that's the last thing your kids need to be around.
Right. Right.
And I realize when you're in those types of environments, it's hard to make the decision to leave out of fear.
Right.
Out of fear of losing what resources or finances that was a part of it. But I'm telling you from my own experience, it is better to move, struggle, and move forward than it is to stay in that, because
Well, like we were talking about at the beginning, I mean, the kids know, they know if what they don't hear, they feel what they don't, what they don't talk about, they sense, they know. And the worst part of it, and I'm a divorced single mom myself. I was married for 18 years and I didn't plan to get divorced, and I didn't plan that my daughters didn't have, their father in the house or a stepfather. And even with all of that, they don't have a model of a two-person marriage team that I did with growing up with my mom and dad. They don't have that. And it isn't because they just don't. So, our kids are our environment, with the influence from us and from God and their surroundings. Right. And so, like you said, you're so right about, you're not benefiting them in a bad relationship environment, because that's the only normal then they have to work through all that at minimum.
Yes. And I want to acknowledge one of my listeners. She says, and this is Sandra, yes, we are also writing an anthology. Raising children wasn't easy. Trying to provide the necessary tools, techniques, strategies, and pearls of wisdom. And I am honored to be a part of this particular anthology. Thank you, Sandra, for saying that, because we got so wrapped up. I meant to say something. And if there are any parents out there that would like to share their journey as a parent, Lisa, you might want to even consider it.
Well, I was going to say, why are we not publishing it? Why is this not a now publishing anthology? We never talked about that.
That's all of this was organized before I got involved.
No, I love it, and I'm all about the titles. So I love the titles, and actually, anthology is a big trend right now, as we were talking about.
Yes. So, but you have some pearls of wisdom that you can even share, that you might want to consider being a part of this book. And then she says exactly, and then she says, what they don't hear, true. Yeah. What they don't hear, they feel. Yeah. And that's why one of the things that I encourage parents, do not argue in front of your kids.
I know.
Do not argue in front of your kids. Have them go in their room, you go in your room, or go outside, go somewhere else.
I do remember that I said I brought this subject up to my mom, probably my mom and dad, maybe like 20 years ago. So when I was a young adult, saying that I never ever remember them fighting. And my mom kind of laughed because she almost couldn't believe it. But, they she's like, oh yeah, we fought all the time. I never remembered them fighting at all.
That's never. Amazing.
Yeah. And, but yeah. Oh my gosh. So again, I was asking you if you could share. I don't think we got to the answer, but what would you say is like a key, not what to do? I mean, we talked a little bit about a few of them, but maybe just, something to just, as I say, parents that are listening, just to seed on, just, don't do this. What would you say in something like that?
One of the things that is very easy for us to do is yell at our kids.
Very good.
There are 4 different types of yelling. There is yelling when we're not thinking we're yelling. We're just raising our voice, but they're saying, why are you yelling at me? Yeah. And so at that point, we need to calm it down. And then there's that yelling out of fear of a child being in danger. That kind of yelling is necessary. It's necessary. If you see a child, like I was sharing a story about how my grandson, 2 years old, he gets out of my car and he takes off. Right. And I mean, just takes off. And I couldn't catch him. This little boy is going to be a track star. But I couldn't catch him. And I just started screaming and yelling, come back, come back, come back. So in a case like that, you need to yell. Okay. But when we yell because we're angry, we're frustrated, we're annoyed, we're mad, that kind of yelling is not good. Yeah. That type of yelling can be devastating to a child. That type of yelling can cause anxiety. It can cause depression. It can cause the behaviors to be even worse. It can cause kids to become introverted when they were once extroverted, because they're afraid if they do say something, they're going to be yelled at. Yelling. And then the fourth type of yelling was a kind of call and response back during slavery time, when when slaves would yell back and forth to each other to avoid having the slave master interpret or understand what they were saying. So they would yell back and forth. That was a necessary type of yelling. So those are the four types of yelling. And so I would just encourage, and we can tell when we're getting ready to get worked up. We can tell when we're getting ready to, we're seeing red, when you do calm down. And for me, I start saying, peace, be still, peace, be still, peace, be still. So to calm myself, and, or if you can't calm yourself, then tell the child, look, you need to go in your room, think about what you did. I need to think about what we did. And then we'll come back when we can talk and not yell.
Yeah, so important. And I, with my teenage daughters, and this now is the first year that they're driving themselves to school, which was a huge shock because I've been driving them for 13 years. And so now we've had to have that morning peace, at home before they leave the door. And not that we do every day, but we try, it sets the tone for their day. No one wants to walk out the door to go to work. They've had a big, yelling, screaming issue.
And, it sets the tone.
Exactly. So it really does. And it's that, the first foot forward, right? The first step forward is so important, how you take it, what the feeling is, and it sets you up for success, or it's hard on you. So I agree. And I'm not saying I'm great at not yelling, but it's definitely something.
But when we know better, we do better.
Yes, I'm sorry.
Yes, when we know better, we do better. And so, and I'm not saying I never yelled at my son, because I'd be lying. But when you learn, when you know better, you do better. And so Sandra, she says, I don't remember my parents arguing either. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. And I just want to encourage parents, please don't yell in front of your kids, because number one, they're going to take on ownership of your yelling at each other. And number two, they're going to be stressed out because they're hearing you yell at each. And if by chance you do yell and argue in front of your kids, they need to see the loving side. They need to see the makeup side, and they need to understand. So if you can avoid it altogether, that's what I want to encourage. But if by chance they are in the mix, you want them to see the loving side of you. All right. We ran out of time.
I think it's great. I know. Oh my gosh.
Yes.
How do you want to end it? Tell people about your workshop more.
The workshop again is Saturday, February 4th from noon until 2 p.m. And I want to encourage parents with kids from preschool through middle school. Please come and let's talk about those things. In the registration form, one of the questions is, this workshop will be a success for me if. And so I want you to tell me, what is it that you want to get out of this workshop? And that's why pre-registering is so important. So please register today. Register today.
And contact me, publish at nowscpress.com, or go to our website, or Liza Marie Garcia, Google me, IM me, and tell me that you want to go, and we'll give you the scholarship.
Wow.
And just thank you, Vera Thomas, for putting this on.
Well, thank you.
Such a gift to the community.
Thank you for being willing to sponsor. And if any of you, like Lisa said, if anybody else out here, of a young mother or a young father or young parents that could use what we are going to be offering, sponsor them. Please sponsor them. You can go to the registration and complete it for them with their name and let them know that they're doing it. So please, thank you so much. Oh my God. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Vera. You're a rock star. Good work.
Thank you so much. Well, listen, everybody, we ran over a little bit. Lisa wanted to come on and interview me to help support and encourage people to get involved with my workshop. And I appreciate you doing that. We did talk about her as well. So I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Love you. And I'll talk to you soon. Okay. If you would wait and wait. Okay. All right. Bye.
The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. The Vera Thomas Show. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk.